Good morning and welcome to the new Reality Check podcast. And today we're gonna and out. We've been eating chicken because this is a community conversation, and we have had our fried chicken already, and Ron wiped them out. Okay.
We got it.
Now we can go. Okay. Dan, let me look at you.
When you say Ron do it, I did it.
Okay, we're having fun.
This is a community conversation, and as I said, if you want to be a part of it, call us. And if you're around, near, in town, you can always sit in with us and do the podcast with us, or you can call us, email us, and the telephone number is area code 504-256-4088, and the email is vwro@aol.com. Yes, we still have AOL. You still rock radio.
You got mail.
See, there's history. There's
Yes.
history. We still got that. We don't want to lose that.
Right.
And today we're going to have a conversation on history, race. We always like to talk about race because that is one of the number one problem that we have in this country. If we could get rid of racism, then we would have a brand new country and life. Everything would be so much better. But if you don't know it, if you don't know what it is, then you can't, you won't know what to do about it. If you don't know when you hear racism, you can't defend yourself. But I learned to define, defend, and illustrate
Okay.
my racism every day. And by the mere fact that I'm black, I demonstrate
Come on now.
who I am. So I'm going to introduce my guest today. I have right here with me Andrew Rose.
How you doing?
Okay. And Ron Chisholm.
Woo.
Hello. And Sandra Washington.
Yo.
Now, which one of y'all want to start this conversation? Right ahead, Andrew.
No.
Oh, I thought you said you was
I
going.
was passing it on.
Oh, okay. Well, we just started the conversation about just talking about race. Ron, you want to start us from?
Yeah, I'd be glad. First, I'm glad to be on this podcast because
Y'all can introduce yourself too.
it's needed.
Yeah.
It's needed to get the word out there, and the timing is so important. For what's going on in the country. Again, my name is Ronald Chisholm. I'm here in New Orleans, Louisiana. I've been in New Orleans all of my life for 82 years, give or take a year.
Youngsters.
I could be older than 82, but I know I'm 82, and I don't see myself as being old. I see myself as being seasoned.
Yes, sir.
And then I pause with a flavor.
Oh,
So, because I made a lot of food, a lot of season, but no flavor. So I got to add that to that. Right? And
That's a good one.
Yes.
I've been doing community work for years. I've been all of my life. I've been married for 59 years, give or take a year.
Yeah.
But I know it's been 59. And when you round that off to the nearest 100, that's close to 60 years being married.
Yeah, some people say that's too long. Some people say that's not long enough.
Yeah, that's right. It depends.
Yeah, that's right.
Like a lot of other things.
Yeah.
So, as you say, racism is the number one thing. And there's a lot of issues in our country. But when you see the blatant systemic racism going on in this country with this president, former president, and when you see half of white America following him, it all that means it instructs us as a community, as a black community, as a community at large, that we got to do what we know best. Everything we've got in our life has been through organizing, legislation, policy. You wouldn't get legislation or policy, affirmative action, anything, or the Voting Rights Act without organizing. So we got to go back to what God has said. Sometimes we've gotten a little comfortable, and now it's like we're waiting to see what happens. We can't wait to see what happens. We got to do what we've done all of our life: organize, bring our people together, wake our community up. And the timing is right now. So understanding racism is one thing, but to understand it intellectually is one thing. To really understand it when you go out there and fight against it. And that's where the organizing comes in. That's what we call anti-racist organizing. Organizing with principles. Because some people organize more from a technical approach and a skill approach. but not a humanistic approach.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to be effective in dealing with racism, we got to do it from a humanistic approach. And and as an organizer, I have a lot of hope. I don't do this work hopeless. And that's what organize. That's what we bring to the table. We bring hope. So I'm glad to be a part of this discussion and a part of this work.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron, I'm so glad to have you as part of this podcast. We are so lucky to have Ron Chisholm, here with us. I've been knowing this brother all my life, feels like, and he has been the same. He's an organizer. I was trained under him, and we just been working together for these many years. And like you said, power concedes nothing without a fight, Just got to struggle without a struggle. And I know this brother, and for the times that he can be on the show with us, we want him here, and we are told him that already, that giving us the time and giving the community the time.
Yes, yes.
Letting the community know that he's still around. He's still doing other things, maybe away from the community, but in other places that hooks up with the community, like this undoing racism training.
Yes,
Ron
yes.
is he's the chief,
The architect.
He's just the man,
Yes, yes.
and to have him here with us, and it's a blessing, and we can thank God that he's still around here with us.
And
Yes,
but let me say this, I know that you and I have been working together, I don't know how many years. I've lost track of it, And sometimes I say joking, I remember you came from Memphis, but, and I ain't gonna, and but no, you've been, you and I have been working together, and we don't forget each other, we get busy doing different things, but we come back to each other because, the work you've done, and I've been fortunate to see your work, and not only see it, I've been with you, and I've shared some things with you. You shared a lot of things with me as well. And as organizing, you got to be consistent. It's a consistent struggle. You take a break every now and then, and you don't, and you don't get burned out. People say you might get tired, you might need a rest. Because when people say that's correct, when people say they get burnt out, that means their vision ain't clear what they're doing. So you get tired, take a break, but keep moving, And this is the time we got to step up our game right now. So if I used to be here in your home, working with great people like Linda, sitting there who's able to bring us together.
Yes.
I mean, that's amazing to see you doing this work. Yeah, and so she brought her experience to the table by getting us all in on that screen.
Yeah, in the
That ain't
same
easy thing to
space.
do.
In the same space.
Same
together,
space,
yeah.
eat chicken.
and
And having a good time at it,
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate us having this conversation. Like, it's really feeling intergenerational, me being the anchor, if you will. And I just wanted to follow up on the sense of urgency that we have and feeling politically in the landscape with Trump and all these buzzwords that is resonating, and goes right back to, if you understand our history, Viola, like what you always tell me. And I always go back to when you used to have those meetings on Robinson Street and really doing community organizing. Even as a kid, we didn't know exactly what was happening, but you always kept us engaged in the fight, right? You gave us our little tidbits of what to do and how to be, and I really appreciate that. And as a woman today, I want to carry on just that legacy of the work that you've been doing along with my mom, Ron Chisholm, and how important I want to be an example of that, because keeping our young people engaged in the conversations about our history and also shines a light for the future. Like, it's not always stuck in the past, but we do have a banter of our future, and I thank you for that.
And I want to say, I'm Andrew Rhodes. This morning when I woke up, because I talked about it last night, I said, it would be a really good thing.
I have no doubt.
Yeah, it would be a really good thing. We're already doing this show with one civil rights icon, and that's Miss Viola Washington. And I said, boy, it would be a good idea if we could get some civil rights icons in there. I walk in the door and here's Ron. And look,
Can't
I-
get any
I-
better than that.
Okay.
you can't do no better than that. And one of the things, because I've been to the workshop, I've seen the work that the People Institute's done, and to me it was one of the best things I've ever sat through, because they were able to clear up a lot of things. Working with Miss Viola has cleared up a lot of things with me. And then I'm going to say this because this is what I believe, and then being able to do some work with Ron. Ron was one of the people responsible for us getting sewer lines in our community.
Right.
Come on
You
now.
know?
Water in our country.
Yeah. And those kind of things kind of touch me, because they ran a news show one time, and my mom, who was living at the time, she was trying to navigate her way down the street. And of course, it was all broken up. My mom was handicapped. And they did a little news story. And I said, you know what? That's what this community needed. And again, I'm going to give Ron, y'all organizations, a lot of responsibility a lot of kudos for y'all being able to do that in my community. That this ain't no thing that everybody knew about, but the people in our area, in my community, how it affected them, just to have sewer lines, it was a long process, but that was neither on Ron, that was the contract.
Yeah.
But it happened. And they've done things all over this community. I'm talking about both these people sitting here. They've done things all over this community.
Yes, and continue to do.
People don't know that the Welfare Rights Organization and some of the other organizations came together and made sure we got people back home for Hurricane Katrina. Those grants went up when we started. We had to protest. But I had to organize all of that. So it's a great pleasure to me to say I'm sitting here with two icons. And every time I do a show with Vi, I'm doing it with an icon.
Yes.
So.
And the only reason I'm looking tall in this chair is because I'm standing on their shoulders of the work and the foundation that's been laid in our community and continue to do so. Thank you for that.
And what I just want to say about at the training, the reason why we do this training, because we working in New Orleans all of my life, in Tremay, Uptown, all over the city. Every time I would organize, I didn't know I was an organizer, number one. Every time I bring people together to deal with some injustice in the black community, and we fight City Hall, we want to fight each other. And I didn't understand that. And I keep saying it over again because I want people to know this training is only a mechanism to help me do effective organizing. I would rather not do workshops. I got too much things in my mind to do workshops, but I realize my community needs to have an analysis beyond just a needs analysis or a do-good analysis, or we call a white man's burden analysis, which means we got to take care of them because them folks can't take care of themselves. So that's why I do the training, because
I like that, Ron.
Yeah.
The white man burden analysis.
Yeah. That's a true one.
Good analysis.
But in the black community, we've learned from the white man. So we operate, the white man ain't got to be there. We operate the same way they do it, where we serve our community. Because being black don't mean we clear what we're doing. Because I work with all black folks, and I realize, why are we fighting each other? We'll be fighting that man down there. And then we'd fight the man, but come back and beat up each other. Who's going to be in charge?
Right.
So I didn't understand internalized oppression.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that in the black community we operate out of a needs analysis, not a systemic analysis.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying that you got to define racism.
Right.
Everybody in the black community, we talk about racism in our sleep. Then in Dungeon again, I'm going to fight this. And I'm going to UOC. I'm going to but then we don't know what that really means, because then we ask in the black community to define racism, and we define it just like white people. That's why the data shows we still at the bottom. White folks are still at the top, and all them other ethnic groups of color slide them down the ladder wherever they get in it.
That's
So
right.
we've got
That's
to
right.
really, we can change this day. We made a lot of accomplishments, so we got to lift that up.
We have. We have.
So,
We
so
really have.
so we don't minimize that, but we got to do more than, we don't want to just get stuck in history. We want to use history as a way to organize to move forward.
Move forward.
And so we got to be able to define racism. Like in the black community is killing us, literally killing us, and we can't define. We're talking about racism has to do with bigotry and hate.
Yes.
That's a side issue.
Yes.
The real issue is racism. Somebody's making money off that arrangement and they didn't earn it,
Right.
which is white people.
Right.
So that's what makes me do the training. I want to keep stressing that because you can't have a training or intellectualize racism. You got to understand it. Then you got from then, and you got to begin to move. A lot of people now they learn and training. They write down notes and they write a book about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they steal our stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
And then make more money than we make. But it's more than that. It's really, you know.
Yeah, and Ron, you said that. I remember some years ago, this young white boy came to town.
Yeah.
And he was working with me and Judy Watts at a Jennifer Children.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Tim Ryan.
Yeah.
He was a student at Tulane or Viola or one of the institutions. And he wanted to understand racism, and he came to you, and y'all trained him. And when CBS, well, the national news wanted to talk about racism, they called Tim Ryan, and he was on MSNBC. And I thought that was so crazy when Ron them had trained him. And when he go out and say things about white folks, he said in a good way, and they accepted. And they had him on the news to talk about racism. And I thought, then I said, now they should have the People Institute. But that was because they was going to hear too much of the truth. And that's not the way they want to do it.
We had a discussion with Tim, over the years, and talked to him about what was going on, and and he goes around in certain spots and acknowledge a lot of his history. He acknowledges it, and he got a lot of training from us and what have you. But I do remember at Loyola, but so by this work, I don't worry about nothing anymore because a lot of people who learn from us, they're now either coming back. I find them coming back. I'm getting calls. I find that we're helping people to make money. I'm also realizing that some people that we've helped who may not be totally connected are out there putting our word out there. And I don't want to get no fights because it'll distract you from what we got to do. I don't want to do no legal. People do legal and no. The difference that we do is in this training, we don't just talk about it. We organize. That's what makes our training different than anybody else's. Everybody can do consultant work and do all that stuff, and I don't minimize that because it's needed. But different with the institute, all of our trainers are required to be involved in the community. And white people got to bring their mamas and daddy at the workshop so they can have how racist they are. So no, I'm hopeful, and we have created 44 years. We get ready for the 45th anniversary. So we've been out there 44 years. So we've helped create an undoing racism movement. And we're gonna claim it. We'll create a movement, and if people benefit, so that's. And I'm encouraged by that, and that's all over the country and parts of the world right now, So I'm excited about it, and hopeful. But even at my age, I still gotta hit them bricks.
Yeah, and Ron, is like you said, 44, 45 years we've been on each other and working together.
That's correct.
That's that long. And when we started doing this work, it was not racism.
Right.
We were just working in the community because there was a need.
Cleaning the streets.
Yes. Whatever
it needed to get done,
we was doing that.
Didn't have no analysis, just knew.
Yeah.
But what we, even if we didn't have no analysis, in those streets, we had principles.
Right.
That guided our work. And the principles, we were developing leadership. We were networking. We were culturally, we had a base of culture. we were being accountable,
Right.
and we understood.
And we was analyzing the community, but we wasn't calling it
We
that.
wasn't calling that, but we operate with principle.
Right. We was operating that way, you know.
And we built relationships.
And we knew who was in the community,
Right.
who needed the help, and who was going to help us to do that. We just knew who we could count on.
And we were good, but when we look at Zion, this sister living in California, your sister, never forget her roots.
Right, right.
She can be in California. We don't see her maybe every few years, at least I don't. But every time I do see her, she said I was grounded here in New Orleans. That's a hell of a thing, you know, when somebody haven't forgotten who they are. And then the million things they're doing all over the country. At the same time, they understand the history, which is what you've been teaching all of your life. They understand that principle, and they haven't forgotten where they come from. And that says a lot about you now in this work, you know. And people think that's minor, but that's a major thing when you don't forget your history, right? And like you said, like Morris Jeff and you and others kept that grounded. You know, sometimes people didn't understand. Why they always talk about history and talk about what happened, you know, this one and that one. But that's the thing, because now we see why it was important. Now they're trying to take it from us. And once they dilute your history, we become more vulnerable to death. So we got to keep that history alive. But the thing you were preaching, the importance of it more with Jeff and others, you know, you got people like DeSantis in Florida, and now we got a governor here as well, you know, and they're going to follow that pattern. And because right now, you know, and we're in the process of meeting with some black leadership here in the city right now. You know, and to talk about what's going to happen with this governor in New Orleans. And we
setting us back in the code words of juvenile justice and penalties and the whole reform, right? We need to be up on that and understand it. But also, Ron, what you said of not losing about who you are, but it's still repeating, like how the Nazis were marching the last weekend. Like, they are not afraid to show who they are, even though it's artificial. But, you know, as we galvanize in our community, we need to have that strong presence as well, you know, and educating our young people about the history and the foundation of how this house was built.
That's
right? We can move the furniture all day long, but we need to know how the house was built, right? And that's our core infrastructure, our core standing of who we are as a people, so we can move forward. As long as we can always stand, but understanding that is important. I thank you, Vi, for being not only my big sister, but also the banter of helping us in the light, you know, to keep on going.
You know, that's part of the organizing for me, and things that I had to learn was understanding how important our language, our communication was with each other. You know, because you know, in teaching Black history, as you said, like with Morris Jeff, we did this program when the welfare reform came about, and so we fought the system on how they was gonna do that, you know, and we created the best programs in this country, and area of the state tried to model from us, but learning how welfare recipient was beat up on and scapegoat, because we as people who making a minimum wage job still look down on those who receive a once a month check. And I too probably had my nose turned up in there a little bit, even though I wanted to work with them and understand what's going on, how we could fix things. But I need to be fixed too. But I wanted to fix their welfare system, and I found out that I had to be fixed too because I was part of that system. And from there we started studying people in history, and the community diversity class. We studied history, and then I went on to go back to training with Ron them, and they was doing undoing racism. And I done learn about racism with Dr. Jeff in the Black History class, but to undo it, you know,
the scaffolding of it all.
I had to learn that through the institute,
and it was connected though, right?
Yeah, it was
because
very
undoing
connected.
racism, we call it undoing racism. because historically what has been done to us.
Right.
So you and Brother Jeff were talking about history
That
and
has been done to
what has
us.
been done to us,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to understand what has been done because you can't do it what has been
No,
done.
you can't. I just couldn't fathom the system
Right.
until I went through that process. And when I went through that process, I understood the time from the sharecropping period
Yeah.
up to where we are now, you know. But before that, I did not understand how it was connected.
And by you had a little attitude, against everybody, because
Oh, I had a big attitude.
Just mad.
Just
that was like
mad. You know,
mad.
And look, come to the workshop, even though with a certain level of energy. One thing helps that we had a relationship. But if I don't know Vi,
I just didn't know how, but I knew I enjoyed it so much when I went to the workshops and hear Ron them telling white folks what they have done and making them feel bad about themselves. Boy, I just couldn't wait to see them cry. You know.
I get beat up.
Yeah, get beat up. And then when we as black people, when I catch black people in the workshop trying to help white folks out, you know, then I get upset with them. They don't need your help. You don't leave them alone. They can do this. You know, and it was really a pleasure until I really understood how it all come together. I'm still happy that we could show them their racism, you know, because they have privileges. And a bunch of them don't understand that they have privileges, really thought that think that they'll just
because it's normal.
Yeah.
We see it as a privilege, but them that's just normal.
Just normal for them.
They got to tell
what
their
kind
children.
Of privilege? I'm still circling like you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Really, let's look at that. But that's why they're so intentional about silencing our history, burning books or banning books.
Right. They fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, Jim Hayes taught us in class early on about fear.
Right.
He said fear is false education, appearing real.
Yeah.
You know, and it really is. And since that time, when I'm reading stuff, that word keeps coming up, about fear. And when I study my therapeutic class, it was about fear of the unknown, and just fear. So I just never forgot that. And
one of the things that I like too, right, what you said about fear, but it's also the humanistic side of it all and the healing aspect of it all. Even though we are still traumatized by racism, we have an opportunity of healing by understanding the history and the causes, but also offering solutions, right? Mm-hmm. About understanding so we can dismantle that.
Yeah, and I think that's what, and it's I thought it was something we could fix overnight, I was so ready.
The magic pill, the red or the blue.
Ready, yeah. And then when I would go to meetings and all this stuff and hear people talking softly about some stuff that white people have done, and you talking softly about, I just didn't understand it. Why you're not jumping on this person? Why you not, But I had to learn, like you say, you got to know when you got to know when to hold it, know when to fold it.
Yeah.
Got to know when to run and when to walk away. Yeah. So I understand that, but I still see that a lot of people still so fearful of things that they don't know and things that they've been taught.
Mm-hmm. And I think when you're talking about fear, because if you've been through it, you know what it is. I mean, I feel like from where I came from,
I've been fear of my life.
Yeah. I mean, I was there when schools were integrated, being one of the first black kids, and I was satisfied with where I was because I was 9. I didn't know any different. Everybody who I hung out with, everybody who taught me looked like me. But when I got to the point that, being one of the first kids to integrate school in St. Bernard Parish, and the hate and the things that I saw, I was like, this is unbelievable. This don't go on in my community. It didn't go on in my community anyway. So when you grow up through those periods, there's something about them that says, I think where we are today, we came a long time. I mean, we came a long way. shouldn't have even been there.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's more of a thing. I couldn't understand why people that didn't look like me hated me, and that these laws and everything was drawn up to have an effect not only on me, but that folks that look like me. So I think we are at the point now, and it's not even a tipping point, because the people who make the laws uh, are the people who get to go to the Supreme Court and all of these things. They make laws that not only affects black people, but poor people.
Mhm.
And the bad thing about that is, like you say, they sit in the workshops, they cry, but a lot of them are, they're under the same pressures socially that we are, but they don't understand that because they do still have privileges. When you have privileges, we never had privileges. We didn't even have the privileges, the privilege to learn their system, and it's under their system that they're still making laws for that again, and those laws work against us. So those are the things that I think I know we need to stop. And a lot of it has to do with redistricting and the people that we're putting up there. I mean, this new governor, that's all I'm hearing, crime. And I'm not hearing nothing about making this community better. Yeah, of course, if you reduce crime. But it's
They
all
have
about,
a crime committee
yeah,
set up.
but it's those things. But what about helping the people? What about doing things for the people? What about bringing people closer together?
Mhm.
I'm not hearing those things. It's like we got Bobby Jindal again. So, and I know we've not had enough time to see that, but something tells me, well, this is what the future of Louisiana is going to be in the next 4 years. So I don't know. Like I say, for me, it's just a thing of we have to, you know, they want to penalize us, Social Security, old folks, and all of that, because they think it's a system that's like a handout system. No, we paid into that. If you take that away from us, then old black folks,
Okay.
where are we going to be?
Okay.
Economic
We're,
stability.
we're running out of time. I think we're Ryan, you want to say something before we close out?
No, I just want to
Close out
say,
to next time.
no, I'm just saying that Candace saying, I agree with you, and I just say, God, I'm glad to be part of this. I hope I can be part of another one, the
Mhm.
podcast, because we need to get the word out right now. The timing is on us right now,
Right.
and organizing is key. And I think we have to bring hope to our community. Can't wait for them to do it because they're not going to do it. We got to bring hope. It's what we've been doing all of our life.
Mhm.
I'm excited, and I think the podcast is a mechanism. Is one of the mechanisms to give people some hope. So we talking from bringing hope. That's what this is about. Because I don't want to be on no talk show to be on the talk. I want to be there because to be a vehicle to let people know we out here ready to do the work.
Yes.
Yes.
We're trying to make a change. We want to make a difference. And I think if we continue to do this, more people will be interested in joining the conversation. And we can make a change because together we can make a change. And that's what we're all working toward. So we have had a great time here today,
Yes.
especially with Ron Chisholm here. We have to catch him when we can because this is a busy man.
Yes.
And we have to catch him when we can. So
On the
we're
side of
going to
planet.
see him appearing on this podcast with us periodically because he has other things that he does and he does it well. So we don't want to stop that, but we want to have him on this show whenever it's possible. And he has said that he would do that. So until next time.
What's wrong with black people?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, right. See you next time.
See you next time.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Linda.